Do you have any evidence that this gun has been used in any crimes on record?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that this firearm has ever been fired by Shannon Stillwell?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence at all that Shannon Stillwell has ever been in possession of this firearm that you tested?
I do not.
State the spelling first and last name to the one.
Okay. My first name is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H. My last name is Van Holm. That's 2 words. V-A-N-H-O-L-M.
Okay, Sarah.
I am currently employed with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in the Division of Forensic Science.
And if you can tell the jury, what are your current job duties and responsibilities?
So I am a firearms examiner. We primarily determine if a bullet or a cartridge case was fired from a particular firearm. We also perform services in serial number restoration and muzzle to target distance determinations.
And if you can tell the jury about your education and training in ballistics and firearm analysis.
So I have a bachelor's degree in biology from the University of North Georgia. Prior to being employed with the GBI, I was an operations manager for a small firearms manufacturing company. I was a certified firearms instructor, and I was also a professional competitive shooter.
Oh, dang.
Upon being employed with the GBI,
She be
I
shooting.
completed a 14-month training program to become a firearms examiner, and that was followed by 7 months of supervised casework. I have been certified as an armorer for multiple firearms manufacturers, including Glock. I have attended multiple conventions and conferences that are firearms related, and I am also a member of the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners.
And over the course of your time, well, and I don't think I asked, how long have you been with the GBI?
How long? Since July of 2017.
How many cases have you analyzed while you've been at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Now, this is a professional.
Almost 400 cases.
This is an expert.
And how many cases have you worked where you had to compare both projectiles and handguns?
The majority of those cases dealt with comparisons.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender Ms. Sarah Van Holm as an expert in ballistics and firearms analysis.
All right, she is so qualified and may testify as an expert in those fields.
If you can tell the jury, what is the difference between a semi-automatic handgun and an automatic weapon?
Yes, so a semi-automatic handgun is a handgun that fires 1 cartridge per single pull of the trigger. An automatic handgun is a type of handgun that fires multiple cartridges per single pull of the trigger.
And are there mechanisms that can be used to change a semi-automatic handgun to an automatic handgun?
Yes, there are.
And what are those mechanisms?
So there are different ways
switch.
to turn a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic handgun. The most common one that we see in casework is going to be something called a Glock switch. It is usually a slide back plate aftermarket part that replaces that back slide plate, and it renders a Glock firearm fully automatic.
Mm-hmm. And I want to draw your attention to DOFS case number 2022-101-9842, where you requested to do any testing on a Glock 9mm pistol.
Yes, I was.
And what agency submitted the evidence to the GBI?
It was Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And what were you requested to do?
I was requested to perform what we call a check function on the firearm and determine if it can fire fully automatic.
And how would you do a check function test on a semi-automatic gun?
So semi-automatic, when we perform a check function, we are going to test fire that firearm. We're going to look at that firearm to determine if the safeties are operational and functional. We're going to determine if there's any alterations done to the firearm, if there's any damage to the firearm, and if that firearm is operating as it should.
Okay. And is that the same process you would go through to determine if it's an automatic weapon?
Yes, so if it's an automatic weapon, we perform a few extra test fires to determine that it will fire a certain amount of cartridges to render it full auto.
And how many cartridges are you looking for to determine if it's full auto?
6 or more.
And why are you determining if it's 6 or more?
So that's according to the Code of Georgia standards for what is defined as a fully automatic weapon.
That's crazy.
And what was the serial number of the weapon that you were asked to test?
So if I may refer to my notes. So the serial number on the slide and frame was BPHW105, and the serial number on the barrel, which was different, was KUT516.
And what was the type of firearm?
The type of firearm, according to the frame, was a Model 45 Glock 9mm pistol.
And were you able to test to determine if that Glock 9mm pistol was operating as an automatic weapon?
Yes, the plate on the back, the full auto sear on the back, did render the firearm full auto.
And you said the sear on the back?
Yes, so that would be the aftermarket slide plate auto sear, or the Glock switch, as it's commonly called.
And after conducting this test, did you write a report?
Yes, I did.
And are your findings contained in that report?
Yes, they are.
And after your report was published, did that conclude your involvement in that DOFS case number?
Yes, it did.
You talked about the fact that there was a different serial number, BPHW105, on the barrel of the gun, and then KUT516 on a different portion of the gun. Is that unusual?
Yes, generally that means that the barrel was replaced from the original barrel.
That's a fact, Sean.
Court's indulgence for a moment. Is that significant for you as a firearms examiner?
It can be, because during comparisons, we look at the markings that the barrels impart on the projectiles. So that is something that we would look at if we were doing comparisons.
All right. Court's indulgence for a moment. If there is a difference of the serial numbers, does that have any impact on being able to trace that firearm?
So typically the firearm is traced using the serial number on the frame, because that's technically what the firearm is. That is the frame of the firearm. So that is how you typically would trace a firearm.
Permission to approach? I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 51XXA. Tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXA.
Well, we got the gun. Hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at us for showing this on the live stream.
This firearm is cleared. There is a lock through the chamber. Yes, I do recognize it.
And how do you recognize 51XXA?
I recognize it by the serial number and my initials on the trigger guard.
And is that the same weapon that we have just been discussing a few moments ago?
Yes, it is.
All right. And you talked about the Glock switch. If you can pull the weapon out again for us, if you can just kind of show the jury, point to where is the converter or the switch on the weapon.
Yes, so typically Glocks will have a back slide plate that is flush to the slide on the back. So that was removed, and this Glock switch was then replaced and put on the firearm.
And when you talk about the two different serial numbers,
Which
you
is
just
terrible,
point or
by the
show
way.
jurors where the two different serial numbers are.
Yes, so there's a serial number here on the frame. There's a serial number on the slide. And so that's the slide and frame serial numbers, which is going to be BPHW105. And then the serial number on the barrel is actually going to be right here on the chamber of the barrel. And that is KUT516.
And I don't know if any of y'all, well, I don't even know if I want to say this, but shooting an automatic handgun is insane. I'm gonna just put it at that. It makes no sense. It's inaccurate. Waste ammo. It's silly. Unless you're shooting into, I'm not even gonna say that. It's silly.
Are you familiar with the NIBIN system?
Yes, I am.
When there are two different serial numbers on the NIBIN system, two different serial numbers on the weapon, does the different serial numbers on the barrel and the other parts have any impact on the ability to get proper NIBIN results or ballistic comparisons?
Okay, so for comparisons, it may impact it because if a barrel is switched out, obviously we're looking at the markings on the actual projectiles themselves. For NIBIN is the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. That has to do with cartridge cases only. So we're not looking at projectiles for that. So switching out a barrel isn't as pertinent as it would be maybe a slide.
Thank you so much. I have no further questions.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell. I just have a couple questions. It seems that you're telling us that there's components from two different firearms on this gun.
Yes.
Okay. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what caliber bullets or projectiles does this gun, as is, fire?
9mm.
Okay, fires 9mm. All right. Do you have any evidence that this gun has been used in any crimes on record?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that this firearm has ever been fired by Shannon Stillwell?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence at all that Shannon Stillwell has ever been in possession of this firearm that you tested?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Great question from Max. He didn't even attack her credibility. He just said, do you know who shot this?
Nope.
Good morning.
I have some similar questions to Mr. Sharp. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick ever fired this firearm?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick was ever in possession of this firearm?
I do not.
Do you know who modified this firearm to put the switch on the firearm?
I do not.
And do you know who may have modified the firearm so that it has a barrel that is inconsistent with the frame?
I do not know.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Actually, Your Honor, one more question. Do you know why the state brought you here today and wasted your time? No, I do not. Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
The questions that were just asked of you, would you have any way to know any of those answers, given your work at the GBI?
I would not.
No further questions.
Who can give us those answers?
I do not know.
All right. I look forward to hearing from them.
Ooh!
All right.
Max getting a little sneak diss in there. Dang! Oh my! Yo, Max got some shots in there. Miss Hilton came back with the well, would you know that information? She said, no, it's not my job. Max said, do you know whose job that is? She said, no. Max said, oh, good. I know whose job it is. And guess what? They didn't do their job. So I'm excited to hear from them. Y'all give it up for Max Sharp, who represents Shannon Stillwell. Always in here cooking. Oh, that was great.
You are excused. State, call your next witness.
I'll do it, Sean. I'll do it for you.
Shay to the stand.
Don't mess with this lady, though. She does not play. If something goes down, you hide behind her. You know she's got something on her.
First name Brian, last name Shea. It's BryanShea.
And where are you currently employed?
I am currently employed with the Gwinnett County School Police
And how long have you been with the Gwinnett County School Police?
Nice.
since August 19th of this year.
And prior to working at the Gwinnett County, for the Gwinnett County School Police, where did you work?
I was a senior investigator for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, but I was task forced out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
How long did you work at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
I started in August of 2021.
Now, you said you also served as a task force officer with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. What did you do as a task force officer?
I was attached to an enforcement group. Our main function was illegal firearms, narcotics, and gang issues.
Interesting.
And while you were a task force officer, did you have the occasion to handle cases involving machine gun conversion devices?
I did.
And is that commonly called a switch?
It is.
What type of cases did you handle regarding machine gun conversion devices?
One specifically is I test fired a piece of evidence involved in the YSL case, the RICO trial. It was a Glock model 45 9mm that had a MCD, a machine gun conversion device affixed to the back of it.
And if you can briefly tell the jury, what was your education, background, and training experience to qualify you to serve as a task force officer?
I started law enforcement in 2003 with the Atlanta Police Department. I served there for almost 10 years. Left in 2010, went to the City of Johns Creek Police Department, where I started
Shout out to
as
Johns
uniform
Creek.
patrol, worked my way to detective, then made my way to narcotics detective, worked undercover narcotics for a task force. Left there in 2021, came here, was immediately assigned to the ATF, where I studied under numerous special agents there in weapons firearm recognition and how firearms work, specifically illegal ones.
So I want to take you to May 25th, 2023, where you asked to test a Glock Model 45 pistol.
I was.
And were you familiar with that type of firearm?
I was. It was actually the duty issued weapon that I was given by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And there is an exhibit in front of you, 51XXA. Please look and tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXA.
Y'all leave Adam Abadi alone.
Now, I'm familiar. I recognize this weapon.
How do you recognize it?
This was the weapon that I test fired that day.
And when you say that
What
day,
day?
you're talking about May 25th, 2023?
Correct.
All right. And how many, in your time either as a task force officer or as in your other roles, how many guns with switches have you handled during the course of your law enforcement career?
Oh, numerous.
And what were you asked to do regarding that weapon?
I was asked to just do a demo video to show its functionality, that it does in fact fire as a fully automatic machine gun.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 51XXC. Tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 51XXC.
I do.
How do you recognize 51XXC?
By the case number and my initials and a date and time on it.
Okay. And what is contained on 51XXC?
It is the video of myself at the Fulton County Training Center range, test firing a normal function semi-automatic Glock 45 9mm, and then test firing.
Ooh, I want to see that.
And did that video fairly accurately depict your test firing of both those two weapons?
It does.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender and admit 51XXC.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Man, I hope we get to see that. I want to see the video. But y'all know we're delay game. We don't take any breaks.
Tested it a normal.
Go ahead.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
wanna see it too.
Now you said before you tested it a normal functioning handgun and then I guess a not normal. What's the distinction between the normal way that it should operate and the abnormal way?
So the normal way, a semi-automatic pistol is one trigger pull, expels one round from the magazine out of the barrel of the firearm. And when I test fired the State's Exhibit, it was one trigger pull, and it expelled 6 rounds out of the magazine, out of the weapon.
Yes, we did cover AFITs, but you know, we have to say it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Multiple different ways. That's how the state works. 403, waste of time.
Just where are you when you do the test fire?
The Fulton County Training Center.
Oh, we get to see the video. Hopefully YouTube doesn't
And which gun do
get
you
me
test
for
fire
this.
first?
So it starts off with my actual duty weapon. That is the same make and model as the State's Exhibit, and mine is a semi-automatic pistol functioning as a semi-automatic pistol.
Glock Model 45. This is my duty issued weapon. Serial number is Bravo Tom Uncle George 256. Empty chamber. Six-round magazine loaded into duty weapon. Range is hot. Empty magazine.
What did you say there?
I said empty magazine, and I showed an empty chamber, that there are no more rounds inside the pistol.
6 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Glock model number 45, serial number Baker Paul Henry, Whiskey 105. Six-round magazine.
Sheesh. I want to run that again. Look at the look how hard it was for this professional shooter to control. I mean, it knocked him back. Did y'all see that? I wish I want to play it in slow motion.
6-round magazine.
Let me put my cursor to where the position of the gun starts. He starts here, and the gun goes all the way back here.
And what do you say there?
Switches
That's an
are
empty
stupid.
magazine, empty chamber again.
Crazy.
And did that conclude your demonstration video?
It did.
Court's indulgence for a moment.
A switch on the handgun is pointless. Unless ... You fill in the blanks. I'm definitely not saying anything like that on YouTube. Y'all are smart people. Y'all want to see it again? Wave Lori. Hey, Wave Lori, Trump is in office. You do not have to speak like this anymore. He said the pistol identifies as a machine gun. Yeah, it's wild to see the difference. I'll run it back one more time. And now I was watching the gun when he fired. Watch his shoulder.
5.
Watch his shoulder. His right shoulder.
6-round magazine.
Crazy.
And what do you say there?
I said empty magazine, empty chamber again.
And did that conclude your demonstration video?
It did.
Court's indulgence for a moment.
Sheesh. Oh, Amber's in the building. What's up, Amber?
When you shot the automatic weapon, did it fire 6 rounds with one trigger pull?
It did.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Any cross of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.